Welcome again, everybody. This is Group 3's presentation on accreditation of health organizations. They're lucky enough to be hanging out with their teacher on a Friday afternoon. I know you are all probably jealous for that, but it's just these three that get to do it. So I'm going to turn the time over to you guys.
Great, thank you. Welcome, class, to this edition of Group Presentations. We are Group number 3. Today's topic is accreditation of healthcare organizations. Today's presenters for this topic will be Bradley Clark, Tricia Richards, and Mackenzie Pope. We will be addressing the following topics. What is accreditation? Is it mandatory or voluntary? Compare the impact in the process of accreditation to that of board certifications for physicians. And what is the role of ISO? And an interview with someone in management at Madison Memorial Hospital with ISO 9000. We will first start with what is accreditation? Go ahead, who has that?
So I say next slide.
Next slide.
All right. So what is accreditation? So it's a certification or competency, authority, or credibility. And so this is the process of review that a healthcare organization or a clinic participates in to demonstrate the ability that they meet the criteria and standards of the accreditation that are established nationally. And so this represents agencies as credible and that they're dedicated to ongoing and continuing compliance with the highest standard of care. So this is just the way that hospitals or clinics are meeting those national qualities of standards of care and being held accountable to those. So next slide. So is it voluntary or is it mandatory? So according to the Joint Commission website, it is not mandatory to be accredited, but healthcare organizations, programs, clinic services, they voluntarily pursue these accreditation or certifications because it improves the process of care and it's seen to have a better clinical outcome, and they're held responsible to those national set standards that are set forth by these boards or the Joint Commission website. And so why would someone want to be accredited? This is so that while they're preparing, they can see ways to identify their strengths and areas that they can improve in effectiveness and efficiency. And so some ways that help it is it sets them apart from other healthcare providers and increases their values, and consumer confidence actually goes up in organizations that are accredited and certified. Next slide.
So I'm talking about the impact and the process of accreditation compared to that of board certification for physicians. And the process of accreditation is a combination of self-examination and external peer assessment. So you look at your organization, see what you like, what you don't, what you want to change, and then a survey team will come in and evaluate the organization's performances, and you note the changes. And after a time period, they'll come back and do a final assessment. And to maintain your accreditation, you have to pay a yearly fee and renew your accreditation about every 3 years. I looked at several studies on the impact of accreditation, and they all showed that it really does improve the overall care provided by the healthcare organizations, and it improves their operational efficiency. It reduces errors by practitioners, so doctors, nurses, lab technicians. It also provides incentives to continue to achieve that excellence. Next slide. If you look at the process of becoming board certified, the physicians have chosen what specialty they want. They go to that board and they have to pass a written, and sometimes it's an oral examination. And they have to maintain that certification every 2 or 3 years. And the impact of the board certification is it does help the physicians maintain their high quality of care. But it's often required for a physician to be board certified if they want privileges at a hospital, or if they want to become a network provider for insurance companies. And one of the studies showed that 95% of patients say that having a doctor that's certified is very important to them. And I actually talked to a physician, and he agreed that he wouldn't see a doctor that wasn't board certified. that they have had the correct schooling and residency. But he told me one interesting about the difference between accreditation and board certification. He thought that accreditation is easier because you have choices of places to go to. You have ISO and Joint Commission and others. But he felt like board certification isn't hard, but the recertification, he said, is so difficult and time consuming. And recently he's seen the specialty board start to ease up because of the feedback they're getting from the physicians. Next slide.
We are now going to talk about the role of International Organization of Standards. ISO, or International Standards, ensures services and products are safe, good quality, and reliable. Consistency can only be achieved if everyone is using the same language. What is a standard? A standard is a document that provides requirements, specifications, guidelines, or characteristics that can be used consistently to ensure that materials, products, processes, and services are fit for their purpose. How are standards developed? An ISO standard is developed by a panel of experts within a technical committee. Experts meet to discuss and negotiate a draft standard once the need for a standard has been established. As soon as a draft has been developed, it is shared with ISO's members who are asked to comment and vote on it. If a consensus is reached, the draft becomes an ISO standard. If not, it goes back to the technical committee for further edits. What are the benefits of standards? International standards are the backbone of our society, ensuring the safety and quality of products and services, facilitating international trade, and improving the environment in which we live in. Conformity to international standards helps reassure consumers that products, systems, and organizations are safe, reliable, and good for the environment. Numerous studies have shown that standards boost businesses and economies. What can I do if I think a standard is misused? ISO takes very seriously any complaints related to the misuse of ISO logo or false certification to ISO management system standards. If you wish to report a complaint regarding an organization claiming to be certified to an ISO management system standard, you can send them an email listed on their website, iso.org. A response to your complaint will be sent to you within 14 days. Next, you'll be informed as to why ISO 9000 is used at Madison Memorial. Next slide.
So I talked to Dr. Clay Prince. He's the CMO at Madison Memorial, and he had started in his position about the time that they were transitioning from a different organization to the ISO 9000. And he said that this was a really great fit for their size and their type of hospital. And he really loved that the things they focused on were right in line with the vision that they had for their hospital. And he said that he actually looks forward to the reaccreditation times that they give really helpful criticism that improves their quality of care. He said they tell him things they need to do, things that they shouldn't do, and he always finds it very helpful. And he said it was a real improvement from the last accreditation organization they had. He said the money doesn't matter, but it was more expensive. And he just felt like they required so much busy work that didn't really benefit the quality of care that they were providing. And they always felt a step away from disaccreditation. He said that the ISO 9000 has been a real positive change for Madison Memorial, and they're very happy with it. And that's the end of my slide.
Is that it for you guys then?
That is it. There's our sources.
All right. Very good. So let's go ahead and open up to just a couple questions here, and then I'll let you be on your way. First of all, you did a really good job. I know when we talk about accreditation, it's hard not to bring up Joint Commission, and I know specifically you were asked not to infringe on the other group because that's their main thing with what their topic is the Joint Commission. But having said that, I'm going to have you infringe on it just a little bit. When we talk about accreditation, how does ISO differ from, say, the Joint Commission from your research?
The things that I read up on it on the internet, it made it sound like it was the kind of the gold star, the thing to attain for, and the most difficult to accreditate in. And talking to this physician, he actually didn't like it. That's what they had before, and he found it too intrusive. I don't know if intrusive is the right word, but too much busy work. And he said that ISO was more geared towards quality of care, and it just fit with their hospital. But he also said that their hospital's small, and I don't know if that makes the difference.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I think it can. You know, when you hear about accreditation in hospitals or whatever else, typically you do hear about Joint Commission, but it's nice to have an emphasis and to have someone backing the idea of ISO, and that is typically more commonplace, I'd say, in a smaller hospital. And I do like the idea that, you know, as he talked about, he emphasized that the accreditation part of the ISO is more patient-centered. I'm sure Joint Commission may disagree with that, because that's going to be what any accreditation thing is focusing on. So now, accreditation itself, as you mentioned, is not mandatory by hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
Would you go, or would you take a family member to a hospital that is not accredited?
I think that's the important thing. Is a lot of people, if you asked anyone, they would want to go to somewhere that was accredited, because inadvertently or on purpose, we kind of hold it to a higher standard if somewhere is accredited or certified, because it just kind of boosts confidence and kind of makes you feel better that they're held to that standard and that they know and that they're doing the things that they're supposed to.
I know for me that even if it is accredited, I probably still do some due diligence. We learned that all doctors and hospitals are not created equal. I would imagine that all ISOs are not created equal. And though they may be accredited, there still may be some things to think about and to consider. That's just me, though, because I like to measure twice, cut once. But I do think it's important to do our due diligence and not, I mean, yes, accreditation is good. Yes, ISO is good, but we still need to do our part and make sure that what we're doing is meeting the goal that we have.
I agree. Did any of you look to see that your hospital, whichever one you go to or would go to, if they are accredited, and if so, by who?
Right.
Did anyone have a chance to do that? Just out of curiosity.
To check out our hospital, you mean, or?
Yeah, the hospital that you would go to, that you take your kids to, that you work at, just your nearby hospital. Do you know if they're accredited, and if so, by who?
Mine was pretty easy because I live here in Rexburg, so mine is Madison Memorial, and they are ISO 9000.
And I go to Kaiser back in California, and I think it is accredited, but I was not able to find out by who.
Confession, it's been a long time since I've been to a hospital. Same thing with my family. We tend to do a lot of preventive things. So that's not something that's on the forefront of my memory as far as if they're doing. So that's something for me to consider when going forward, when that need arises.
All right. Just so you know, oops, sorry, give me 1 second here. I lost you guys. Kaiser, I believe, is accredited by Joint Commission, Mackenzie.
Oh, okay.
But for those who aren't too familiar, Kaiser, are you in California then, Mackenzie?
I'm up here in Idaho at the moment, but yeah.
You were saying with Kaiser's kind of the big hospital that you'll hear a lot about if you live in California, just like here in Utah, Intermountain Healthcare is the one you hear a lot of here, and then some parts in Idaho as well. So great. Well, like I said, you did a really great job. Anything else any of you would like to add before I let you go?
We think we're the best group.
Oh gosh.
Well, good. It's a good thing there's no vote on it then.
Yep.
No, you did a really great job. I appreciate the hard work that you put into it. Thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You too.
Thanks.
We'll see you later. Bye.
Well, how'd you feel about that?
I think it's good.
You did really good on your stuff. I hope I wasn't too wordy.
No, you weren't at all.
Okay,
I
good.
can't-
Because I'm always worried about that because I tend to be one of those guys that I take stuff at face value, but I like to dig a little deeper. And so, anyways, I was trying hard not to overstep my bounds today.
No, I don't think you were at all. I know you said that you're wordy, but I thought you did really well. And I think
I
it's good to
appreciate
go-
that.
I think it's good to go beyond what's just on the slide too. So
Yeah, I wanted to do that. I felt it was necessary. And I hope I didn't speak too fast that they can understand me. So I'm hoping that I enunciated okay because I'm not sure how the recording is, but
yeah, you did good. I think I talked super fast. So
no,
that's
you did
good.
great. I just didn't quite know how to answer that first question when you brought it up. I'm like, I didn't even look at Joint Commission because that wasn't our topic. So
Yeah, I had in looking at mine, I had to look at some because looking at how they accreditate, Joint Commission came up a lot. So
okay.
I thought, oh, shoot, what did I learn? And I couldn't remember specifics, but I just remembered that they are the gold standard and that's what everyone attains. You know, that's the one that everyone wants to have or that they say that should have. But there's a ton of different accreditation places out there. So
Yeah, well, I have to admit, like, I honestly do not go to the hospital that much. So knowing exactly who they're approved and stuff, I know nothing about that.
yeah.
But I know my acquaintances, like I know certain doctors and, it's almost like, yeah, there's accreditation, but as you get to know the physicians, sometimes you get a referral regardless if they're accredited or not. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I see trade-offs with that.
I agree. My kids go to the hospital quite a bit and I've never even thought about whether it was accredited. Well, we go to Primary Children's, I'm sure it is,
Oh, yeah.
but I go more by, you're right, recommendations of the physician, recommendations of who's good and I don't know. And just if you don't like a doctor, you switch. Like personality has a ton to do with it. So
Sure. Sure. So I hope I didn't frustrate Brother Gage being like, yeah, I haven't been to the hospital because I don't have to. And I just take a different approach. Although, because what's weird is I am looking at doing PA. I don't know what your goals are, but I am looking at going to PA school. But I'm doing it in a different manner. And people don't understand, but it's okay. Because I feel like I have to know that side of things to do what I want to do. So
what do you mean you're doing a different manner?
well, most people. Well, okay. Look, to me, there's two things. People are usually more prone holistic, like the DO, or they're more prone to the medicine, like the MD. I tend to be more of the DO because of my massage training background. I'm a licensed sports massage therapist. I work with Utah Valley University athletes, and I have a different way because in massage school we're taught to treat the whole body and not just where you hurt. Like if you hurt your shoulder, is it really the shoulder or are you feeling it there because something else is causing you to feel it there? Those are questions that I think are more realistic than just saying, oh, did that treatment not work on that shoulder? Let's go ahead and give you a cortisone shot. Yeah, I'm not really a fan of that, but I know I've got to be somewhat introduced to that so I can know how to talk to people and relate to them. So that's what I mean when I say I'm a little different on that. But does that make sense?
Yeah. So the last presentation when they talked about the MDs and the DOs, and he asked them the same question, do you know what your doctor is? And so I went and I looked and I thought it was so interesting because my husband a few years ago had gotten, he gets strep really bad sometimes.
Oh, okay.
He never gets sick, but when he gets strep, he's down. And he got strep and then a few weeks later he started to have joint pains. And he went to one doctor and they said, you have rheumatoid arthritis and send us to a rheumatologist. And he went to his other friend that's a doctor that he really likes for a second opinion, and he's a DO. And I didn't know this till I looked it up the other day.
Okay.
But all I knew is the difference. The one doctor just said, you have this because your joints hurt. And then he went to his other friend, and he as a DO, he just looked at the whole body. And he's like, okay, so what happened and what's this? And asked so many questions like an investigator trying to solve a mystery. And he figured out it was just a weird reaction from what did I say he had? The illness he had before. And it just had kind of settled in his joints and some antibiotics took care of it. He was fine.
Wow.
So it was interesting to see that, like I could really see the difference of the approaches of the two kinds of doctors.
Yeah, because like I have no problem with medicine when it's needed, but like